So today we have a very important topic to discuss. These are the two confusing topics which are like quite interconnected to each other, and they seem so confusing because like the most of the terms are familiar to each others. For example, now we are going to discuss about hypothalamic nuclei and we are going to discuss about the thalamic nuclei. So first of all, hypothalamic nuclei. Hypothalamic nuclei are of seven types. First is lateral, second is ventromedial, then is anterior, posterior, suprachiasmatic, supraoptic, and preoptic. So let's discuss one by one. First is lateral. Lateral lateral is like stimulated by ghrelin and it is inhibited by leptin. These are the main key points, and it is responsible for hunger. For in case if the lateral nucleus gets destructed or destroyed, so it will lead to anorexia and failure to thrive in infants. Second is ventromedial. Ventromedial is responsible for satiety and it is stimulated by leptin. If in case it is destroyed, for example in craniopharyngioma, so it would lead to hyperphagia and obesity. In case of anterior, we need to remember a mnemonic which is ACP, Additional Commissioner of Police, in which A stands for anterior, C stands for cooling, P stands for parasympathetic. Posterior is just opposite to anterior, in which there will be heating and sympathetic. Remember it by hot pot. Next comes the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is responsible for the circadian rhythm. Supraoptic and paraventricular. Supraoptic nucleus helps in the release of synthesis of ADH, whereas the paraventricular leads to the synthesis of oxytocin. Both of these, ADH and oxytocin, goes to posterior pituitary and get stored and hence thereby get released. Preoptic nucleus is responsible for thermoregulation, sexual behavior, and GnRH release. The main clinical point important here is that if the GnRH releasing neurons fail to migrate from olfactory pit, it would lead to Kalman syndrome. Kalman syndrome is very important. It is a form of hypogonadotropic hypogonadism in which both LH and FSH and consequently testosterone levels are being reduced, and it is a cause of primary amenorrhea, primary infertility. Now we come on to the thalamic nucleus. Thalamic nucleus are of 5 types. First of all, we'll discuss what thalamus actually does. Thalamus is responsible for all the ascending information from the body except olfaction. First is ventroposterior lateral. We'll remember it as VPL, VPM. Then comes lateral geniculate, midi-geniculate, and next is ventral lateral. Let's discuss about ventroposterior lateral. We should know that where is it relaying, where is its destination, and where is its starting point. So ventroposterior lateral, basically it is involving the spinothalamic and dorsal column or medial lemniscus. So what will happen? See, there's an easy way to remember VPL, and we'll remember the functions like whatever is gone if the ventroposterior lateral is injured or damaged. VPPL. V for vibrations, P for pain, P for pressure, P for proprioception, then light, touch, and temperature. And it goes to primary somatosensory cortex. Next is ventroposterior medial, which is responsible, and it involves trigeminal and gustatory pathway. So from trigeminal and gustatory pathway, one can make out that it would be responsible for the sensations of the face, and from the gustatory one would make out that it is responsible for the taste, and it would also relate into primary somatosensory cortex. Now we talk about the lateral geniculate. Lateral geniculate, as we remember from the visual pathway diagram, which is also given in U word and first aid, there are 3 things: optic nerve, chiasma, and tract. So it is basically responsible for the vision, and it would relay into calcarine sulcus. Next is medial geniculate, and when we talk about lateral geniculate, L for lateral, L for light, that is vision. Next is medial geniculate, M for medial geniculate, M for music, that is sound or hearing. So basically medial geniculate is involving the superior olive or inferior colliculus of the tectum. It is responsible for hearing, and it will relay into auditory cortex of the temporal lobe. Ventrolateral, the last one. It involves the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. So basically these two are basically responsible for the motor functions of the body, and it would relate into motor cortex. Thank you.